Okay, so you're learning Spanish and come across these things. You think, that's weird, I've never seen these in English. And you're right, because the English language doesn't use them. They're called diacritics, also known as accent marks or diacritical marks. There are many different diacritical marks, but the acute accent mark is what you'll come across in Spanish. The acute accent mark goes from the right to the left. If you write it from the left to the right, then it's a grave accent mark. The grave accent mark is, for example, used in French, but it's not used in Spanish, and since we're learning Spanish here, we don't need to worry about it. The important thing to learn is that the accent marks used in Spanish goes from the, say it with me, right to the left. The acute accent mark indicates which syllable in a word should be emphasized. You can only use accent marks over vowels, and there can only be one accent mark per word. It should look like this, and not like this. How do you know where there should be an accent mark? There is actually a simple rule to determine that. If a word ends with a vowel, the next to last syllable should be emphasized. The same is true for when the word ends with the letter N or the letter S. However, if a word doesn't end with the vowel N or S, then the last syllable should be emphasized. So vowel, N or S, next to last syllable. Anything else, last syllable. Also, if the syllable that according to the rule should be emphasized actually is emphasized, then there is no need for an accent mark. It's only in cases in which the word isn't pronounced the way it according to the rule should be where we add the accent mark. So, based on this rule, if you know how a word is pronounced, if you know which syllable is emphasized, then you can determine if the word should contain an accent mark or if it shouldn't. Let's show a few examples. In the word árbol, which means tree, we can see that there are two syllables. Árbol, 1, 2, two syllables. We see that árbol ends with an L, which is not a vowel, and it isn't an N or an S. Therefore, there must be an accent mark, because otherwise the last syllable would be emphasized, árbol instead of árbol. Let's take another example. In the word hombre, meaning man, we also see that the word has two syllables. Let's do the clapping thing again. Hombre. The word ends with a vowel, which means that the second to last syllable is emphasized. And in the word hombre, it is the second to last syllable that we emphasize. It's the part. So we don't have to add an accent mark here. Sometimes a word can shift from not having an accent mark to having one, depending on if it's in singular or plural form. The word joven, meaning young, is a good example of this. It has two syllables and the word ends with the letter N. It must therefore be the second to last syllable which gets emphasized, because remember the vowel N-S rule. And it is the second to last, so therefore there must not be an accent mark here. Let's see what happens when we change the word to plural form. It becomes jóvenes. The word now ends with an S, which means it's still the second to last syllable which should be emphasized. However, now there are three syllables, so the second to last is actually not the one we emphasized. Therefore, there must be an accent mark over the O, since that's the syllable we emphasize. Still with me? Good. There are also other times where the acute accent is used in Spanish. If a word can mean two different things, then an accent mark is used to differentiate between the two meanings. Sí with the accent means yes, while sí without it means if. Both words are pronounced the same when we speak, but an accent mark is used to differentiate between them in text. Question words are another example of this. If que is used as a question, then it has an accent, but if it isn't used in a questioning sense, then it won't carry the accent mark. Like in the phrase, me gusta lo que ella dice, meaning I like what she says. The que isn't used as a question, so it doesn't have an accent mark. So now you know that acute accent marks are used to indicate when another syllable than what the rule says should be emphasized. You also know that some words with different meanings also carry the accent mark. And you also learned the rule for which syllable in the word should be emphasized. If you learned something in this video, then you should let me know by clicking the like button, and why not subscribe while you're at it? Or click on one of the other videos on the screen. Adios, muchachos!